In the news this week, a Tory MP says new extremism powers could stop schools teaching that gay marriage is wrong. Assisted suicide laws have been criticised after a 75-year-old ended her own life. And people raised by lesbian couples have spoken of the vacuum created by the absence of their fathers. Hello, and welcome to this week's news bulletin from the Christian Institute. An MP has said the Government Extremism Disruption Orders, or EDOs, would be used to stop teachers, including those in Christian schools, from teaching that gay marriage is wrong. In a letter to a concerned constituent, Mark Spencer initially claimed that EDOs will not serve to limit free speech, but rather to guarantee it. But he went on to write that the orders would apply in situations where a teacher was specifically teaching that gay marriage is wrong. Currently, church schools are free to teach their beliefs about marriage in line with their legal foundation. The Christian Institute's head of communications, Kieran Kelly, expressed alarm at the content of the letter.
For an MP to support the use of counter-terrorism powers against Christian teachers and Christian schools for teaching that marriage is between a man and a woman is really quite alarming. This letter highlights the serious danger with EDOs that we've been warning about for months. They're so broad and so vague they can be used to prevent the teaching of mainstream Christian beliefs. Marriage is the example here, but what other subjects will Christians be prevented from expressing a view on? EDOs are a gross infringement of free speech and risk criminalising ordinary people simply for standing up for what they believe in.
A former NHS executive says efforts should be made to cherish and celebrate older people rather than legalise assisted suicide. Sir Muir Gray made the comments in response to the case of a 75-year-old retired nurse, Jill Farrow, who ended her life at a Switzerland clinic, despite being in largely good health. Ahead of her death, Farrow claimed that the ideal shelf life for many people is around 70 years, a notion challenged by Sir Muir in the Daily Mail. It must never become accepted wisdom that old age is going to be a miserable experience. Otherwise, we will end up with more pressure for a change in the law. We must fight tooth and nail to change the system, to improve life for older people, and to convince people to enter their later years in good heart. BBC Radio 4's Today programme featured Farrow's case, alongside that of Alison Davis, a severely disabled woman who chose to live after previously deciding she wanted to kill herself. Presenter John Humphreys asked Dr. Colin Hart, a friend who cared for Alison Davis for many years, if she ever regretted choosing to live.
And she never changed her mind, having gone through that terrible trauma of wanting to commit suicide and come out of that. She never changed her mind. She never said, I wish I had killed myself.
She never said she wished she'd killed herself. On the contrary, she was eternally grateful to those who had encouraged her to live. And that isn't to say that there were difficult times, and even there were black times, where there were times when she found it hard to go on. Everybody has their difficult days as well as their good days, and it's not, imagining there was some sort of rosy happiness, because people don't experience that. That's not part of life. But she was aware that life is precious even when there are difficulties.
Sir Muir's comments came as Parliament prepares to debate Labour MP Rob Marris's bill to legalise assisted suicide in September. A number of MPs warned that a requirement for courts to approve assisted suicide requests could lead to judges rubber stamping applications without considering the details of each case. Northern Ireland's Alliance Party is set to force its MLA candidates at next year's Assembly elections to take a pro-gay marriage stance. In a change in policy, the party said support for redefining marriage will be part of its 2016 election manifesto. A statement said all candidates will be expected to adhere to it. The Alliance Party's new stance has been criticised by the Belfast Telegraph. In a way, by saying that candidates must adopt an active pro-same-sex marriage line, the party could be discriminating against some of its own members by forcing them to do something that in their heart of hearts they disagree with. An Alliance spokesman said he expects no opposition to the new policy, set to be discussed at the party council in September. Of the 8 Alliance MLAs, 5 voted in favour of redefining marriage in April, while 3 abstained. One of the 3, Trevor Lunn, has now said he will vote for gay marriage should the issue return to Stormont. Redefining marriage has been rejected by the Northern Ireland Assembly 4 times in the last 3 years. And finally, people raised by lesbian couples have spoken movingly of the vacuum created by the absence of their fathers. Speaking to religious liberty organisation Alliance Defending Freedom, the interviewees stressed that redefining marriage has many ramifications for children. Two of the adults, Katie Faust and Robert Oscar Lopez, were raised by their mothers and lesbian partners and constantly felt that something was missing.
I really reject this idea that kids just need loving and stable adults. Yeah, sometimes that's the best that you can get when you're coming from a broken situation. But we shouldn't glamorize, idealize, and incentivize a relationship and a family structure where a child has to lose one or both parents to be there.
The idea is so powerful in your head that there's a father and a mother out there. I mean, how can you erase that? You can keep the child in a bubble, move into a lesbian neighborhood, have them only talk to people who approve of lesbian families. You can erase every single book ever written in the history of mankind that included references to a father and a mother, and the kid will still reach the age of 12 or 13 and know that something's wrong.
Katie Faust also expressed her dismay that the rights of children have been overlooked in the push to redefine marriage.
All of us see that this has to do primarily with child rights and well-being. And even though we have a pretty diverse experience, pretty diverse childhood experiences, we all speak with one voice about the need for children to be raised by their mother and father whenever possible.
Katie and Robert were among hundreds of people who submitted written briefs to US Supreme Court judges ahead of the recent ruling, urging them not to legalise same-sex marriage. Well, that's all for this week. For regular updates and information on all of our stories, plus much more, visit our website at christian.org.uk. Until next time, goodbye.